law. It becomes completely abstract.
It gets parsed, so it's fractionalized, and it doesn't even represent what the whole thing was.
It is very frustrating, but like I said, I appreciate very much you folks coming in. You've been very reasonable in your presentation. I'm grateful.
I just have one little comment or question. It seems to me now, I've lived over 75 years.
Congratulations.
And and I've seen a lot and listened to a lot, but it seems like a lot of people are waiting and depending on somebody else to interpret things. And this young man here, he's a lot younger than me, he's done his homework. And if just half of the state's people would do something like that, he wouldn't have gotten to this bad situation. But the question is, I believe that the government is subservient to the bankers. And people that own the money, that have the money, the government has to fall in line with that. Because if one man says, I don't care who's king or who's president.
Rothschild said, I care not who makes the law as long as he basically controlled the money. And by having a private bank control our money, and basically they dictate to the nations, because they could actually make the government fail or succeed depending on their liquidity and flexibility of the expansive fiat currency we're under.
My friend talks about the corporation. He refers to that whole arrangement as the corporation. And so we're not sovereign, we're not individuals anymore. We are under the control of the corporation. And so one of these days I'll bring him with me, and when I'm going to come back to the area, you will enjoy meeting this guy.
Well, there's quotes in this video that I gave you from Thomas Jefferson and others that have that there. I mean, this isn't something new. Okay.
Oh, I know.
This is just the way things go for a naive public. Always, that's basically kept in the dark. Okay. And so the quotes that he says are just as are fresh, because you'll see that this is exactly has come to fruition of what's going on. But if we have to all become Americans again. We kind of quit finding the divisions that's been set up for us to punch our prejudices. We need to get back to the founding documents, and we need to hold everybody accountable to it. Otherwise, they're not really a true office holder. They're a pretender. Because if I gave you power to wash my car, that doesn't mean I gave you power to wash my truck or to wash my person. Okay. And the government has no rights. It only has powers, and those powers are delegated by the people. Our powers come from our Creator. The powers of this government come from its Creator. Okay, we're the posterity of that creation that was given. But if they're not going to follow it, then they're just as foreign as Saddam or somebody else.
You've been quiet, sir. Do you have anything to add to this discussion?
Well, I'm certainly agreeing with everything that's being said. But as I see all the things that are culminating, it's all about the money, and I would like to see Congress stand up and be men, if you will, quote unquote.
There's a lot of power there, though. If you could do the lobbying among your colleagues on the same level you are since you started in here, and it's kind of like a little subversion, you'll go on underneath before it comes out in the open. How long
we're like wealthy people who don't even know their birthright. If you know your birthright and you know the supreme law of the land, we could basically take all the subversive things that have weakened our nation state and everything else, because that's all in there. Everything else has been a deviation.
I think it's a big snowball. It hasn't started rolling yet.
When the Democrats got in, they got in basically because they said they're going to do something about all this. Well, it's back to the same old thing. About the only thing that the Democrats in the last how many years have been able to actually accomplish is gun control laws. That's it.
And we're not. The Second Amendment is a stated event. Okay. There isn't any power granted to government to disarm the people. Okay. If you go back even when Bobby Kennedy was killed, they used the Nazi law for the Gun Control Act. It was 1967 or 8 thereabouts. It was actually word for word from the Nazis. In fact, if you look at the definition of fascism, that's what corporatism. Mussolini called it. Better to call it corporatism. When you have these mergers of state, basically with these multinationals and the government, this is fascism. Now we're supposed to fought off for all these things: fascism, communism. But see, these terms have gotten skewed. They've been obfuscated now. Okay. But actually, a lot of these agreements, like between even counties and mutual memorandums of understanding with this entity or that entity, a lot of these things are totally fascist if you look and understand what Mussolini and the National Socialists, which what Nazi was. I usually trip people up. I'll read them a platform and I'll say, now what platform do you think this is? And a lot of them will say, well, gee, that sounds like a Republican platform or sounds like a Democratic platform. Then I'll spring it on them, because I've done this on the radio. I say, well, this is actually the platform from the Nazi Party from 1923. I said, you can't know where you've come to unless you know where you've been. And the thing is because I like history, I like to look in the forks in the roads. Lots of things we are doing actually are the same things that Hitler did.
History
but we've acclimated to it like the frog in the hot water.
True. History.
I want to make sure now, okay, which one was Tom Upton?
Me.
Okay, you were the 75-year-old guy.
Well, I'm 79.
Oh, 79.
You said you're over 75.
And Jerry?
That's Bob.
Okay, that's Bob Rush. And you were the cameraman. Okay.
And Jerry.
I do have two things that also are important.
Okay.
The national ID. There's already 14 or 15 states that has legislation against it. Maine was the newest one, just happened. I'd like to see our state get their act together and get something done on that. And the other is that there are many states that are looking at impeachment. There's a number of states, I think there's 20 some states that have things, 23 states I think that have things in the works. Okay, granted it's not something the states can do. However, it's a way to say, look, we just don't like the way things are going. And they tried to bring it to the floor here, and it just got shuffled away.
The floor where, sir?
Huh?
The floor where?
In Santa Fe.
Santa Fe, okay.
Okay, it was brought up about impeachment.
Yeah.
There's a number of additional Kosinich, did House Bill 333, and his constituents are increasing. His attack is to go after Cheney, because if they don't Bush, then he'll be the president.
So what it is
so all I'm saying is these people.
Both parties have sold us out, is basically what he's saying. We can't stay with the pedigree of, because it's Republican. If it was Clinton, we won't let him get away with it, but if it's Bush, we would let him get away with it. We've got to all get back to being Americans. We've got to get back to the founding documents, and personalities are transitory, but we want to keep the Constitution, we want to keep its limited form, and we want to have liberty and freedom for not only ourselves, but our future generations. And, I feel we're in a police state, pretty much. Everything's militarized. I mean, everything's against the law.
Well, it's private military, too. That's another thing.
Now they got 20% of the recruiting is illegals, and the military is lobbying the Congress right now with this bill just so they can get bodies to put in the military via the illegals.
I have a friend who started a new party. It's called the Toboggan Party. He said, we're just going to write it down and crash it and start all over again. Yeah. Guys, I appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming in. It's an honor to meet you. It's an honor to meet you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you very much. Let me give you my card. And
all right, thank you.
I wish I could vote in Congress, but I want you to know I'm with you guys.